It was about 6 months before I got one yes. You can't be afraid of a no before you
Mhm.
get your yes. And it was so crazy because I had gotten so used to a no. When I got my
Even
first
it
yes,
didn't
I didn't
even
know what to
phase
do.
you. Right. Okay. So yeah, that's real good. I like that.
We were poor and didn't know we were poor. We were on a farm, but because we were self-sufficient, unlike today, you got to go to the grocery store to get your food. All of our food came right off the land. If we wanted to eat, we had chickens, cows, guineas, goats, pigs. So all of our food and everything, we didn't have to go buy anything. We had
Mm,
food saved up for years. So we never really realized what we didn't have or couldn't get because it was all right there, but there
mm.
were people living levels above us. So when I get to Oklahoma, because I was never on any of those other levels, I don't know that there's oil tycoons and billionaires in the oil industry. And I'm walking right through the streets, just right up to their door, giving them a flyer with no fear. I'll never forget the day that we got the first yes. I was in this neighborhood, and literally in Oklahoma, it's 115 degrees. I'm going door to door, just my normal, and
Build $1 million legacy with purpose.
Well, Facebook community, YouTube community, we are here again. Thank you so much for coming to another episode of Build $1 Million Legacy with Purpose. I'm too excited today. I know y'all said, Marnita, you always excited, but y'all have no idea. We've been having a conversation in our pre-conference room, and we have with us today Anthony Gladney. Anthony Gladney is a husband. He is a father. He is a premier coach. He is a premier leader in his industry. He is a premier consultant and a premier speaker. And he is doing some amazing things, especially when it comes to purpose. And he was just sharing some information with me before we got on on this live today. And so excited because he is going to be dropping some purpose gems today. So I hope, like, listen, if you need time, just go on and get that notepad out, because what he's going to be sharing with you, you're going to want to capture this in real time. I know you have an opportunity to go back and watch it, but in the meantime, between time, go get your pad, get ready, because he is going to give you some information that you can probably use in order to move your life forward in purpose. And so without further ado, I'm bringing to you today Anthony Gladney.
thank you, thank you. And before we get started, I'd just like to say thank you for the invite. Ever since we met in I3, it's been awesome. Just the fellowship and everything. Anytime we had a in-person training with Dr. Darius, you were always so cordial, always so nice. And so I just appreciate the opportunity to be here with you. And in my wife's absence, I just want to say thank you. She's actually preparing for a trip to Mexico. Um,
He has an amazing wife. I absolutely love her. And again, yes, we met in the mastermind, and pretty much most of our interactions have been virtual, except for when we are at a live mastermind together. Um, and just being in a room with you has given me so much insight of what could be possible for me, because what you and your wife have built, I think, is extraordinary. And you were just giving me some details about how all of that started for you. And this theme of what we are talking about is build million dollar legacy with purpose. And I think purpose is the intention and the reason for creating a thing. But from what I see with you, he has this auto detailing. It's called GI Clean Auto Detailing. And what he does is he works on all of these high-end, I'm gonna say vehicles, but I've seen some other things in there, like boats maybe, and some other
mhm.
things that you work on. But can you take us back just a little bit about, like, when you have an attraction and a desire, an affinity for a thing, what is going through your head? Can you take us back when that started for you and how you were able to start where you were? right? Start
Sure,
where you
sure.
were, because you
That's
weren't always this consummate professional in auto detail. How did
no.
you start from where you were to get to where you are?
That's an excellent question. And I always tell people, if you don't ask the right question, you don't get the right answer. But that question right there has been asked to me so many times, because I'll tell you why. I had no knowing about the pandemic was coming or anything like that. And when you want to bring the area that you work in up, I created a private group called Orlando Detailers. We're up to almost 400 detailers in there now. And everybody's coming to get the knowledge, everybody's coming to learn. But people always ask me, how did you get started? And it was so crazy because I was in the military from January the 6th, 1991 until August the 12th, 2002. But the entire time I was in the military, I was always cleaning my car, helping clean the Jeeps, the vehicles in the military. We have an area called the wash rack. And they're like, man, you clean better than anybody. And it was my brother, Henry Jr., my oldest brother. When we were growing up, my dad was a pastor. He pastored for over 50 years, Dr. Henry Gladney. And my brother, we would always have to clean the cars on Sunday. And so my brother Henry would be trained. I was like, you ain't do it right. Go back and get that. You ain't do it. And it really made me aware. And I didn't even know until years later from what he showed me that I would be running $1 million company. I had no idea. And so years later, I'm in the military. I'm watching people clean their cars. I'm like, nah, let me do it for you. It doesn't look right. I would clean people's cars for free on Saturdays all day just because I wanted it to look right because they weren't doing it right. And then fast forward, that was all the way, I guess, through the mid 90s up until I left and went to Oklahoma. I got hurt jumping out of an airplane. When I got hurt jumping out of an airplane, they sent me from Fort Bragg to Oklahoma. When I got out in Oklahoma, I ended up in Tulsa. I went from Lawton, Oklahoma to Tulsa, and that was where I met my wife. And I was telling you before we went live, it was a young lady that was well, she wasn't a young, well, she was 66. That's not old. So
No.
she was moving from Bible school back to Detroit, Michigan, and there was a gentleman that was supposed to help us, and he had the truck and the tie downs to move the stuff, and he didn't show up. And he told us his excuse was he was detailing and that he needed to, make $500, and it took about 3 hours. And when he explained to me what it was, I said, "Man, I've been doing that for free." And he was like, "No, don't do that for free." He said, "I charge about $250 a car." So when you think about that, you can be really successful if you have a business where you're making, $250 in an hour and a half. And so I started thinking about that. And that was when I launched the company in Oklahoma back in 2002. It was Gladney's Mobile Detailing at that point.
That's amazing. And again, thank you for your service. So, taking us through that uh explanation of how you've started where you were and transitioned to this $1 million company, multi-million-dollar company. And when we talk about that and what you work on, is very detail oriented, which is why I asked you before we went live, would this be an appropriate title for this conversation, which is Detail Matters, especially when you're executing purpose. And part of the story that you just shared, I think it's so amazing how what we do for fun as kids and what we have this strong affinity to, if nurtured well, how it can truly make a difference and make an impact, not only in our lives, but in everybody else's lives that we touch. But you were sharing with me how you went through so many no's. So can you help us, the audience, understand how we can get to the point where we can have a real conversation about with the person we're trying to help, because the first person that we want to help doesn't necessarily always tell us yes.
Right. You have great questions. I love this. So what it takes and what it took for me coming out of the military, I think my mindset, and that was one of the things that we learned in I3, and I think is so key, mindset, skill set, and toolkit. But that mindset has to be, I cannot be defeated and I will not quit. Once you get started in a thing, if you're going to do a flower business or a transportation business, a cleaning business, consulting, whatever you're starting, listen, we started in 2002, y'all. It's 2024, but it's the mindset from the beginning. I'm not stopping. And so when I started passing out material, in my mind, somebody is going to say yes. And I was telling her the story earlier how it took 6 months. And I would go out, and I never told you my wife's response every day. Did we get a yes? Did we get a yes? Because she wanted to know, are we going to have more income coming in, or is there monies come? Because when you're trying to do this as a business, you're not out here not to make a profit. And so for 6 months, I went door to door to door to door in Oklahoma, trying to get started, trying to get my piece of the pie. And I heard no, no, get away from here. No, 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 no. I heard no so much. I mean, I could have made a song out of it. And about 6 months in, I got my first yes. And the lady asked me if I could do the service. And when she actually was talking like she was going to get it, I was like, so you want the service? And she was like, yes, when can I get it? And it was a Wednesday. I did the car either Friday or Saturday, because the other point that I pointed out earlier, I had no equipment. I had just been going around seeking the business without the equipment, but I knew in my mind, once I had a yes, I was going to get everything I had. I had the money just sitting in an account waiting for a yes. And that's the other thing. You don't have to deploy your resources before their time.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Sometimes you don't know what's going to happen, and you might start another business while you're still pursuing this business. So never deploy your resources before time. Once I had a yes, from this point forward, it's all gas and no brakes, So it got me motivated, that first yes, and it was a BMW 7 Series. Next time I go to Oklahoma, I'm going to find that lady and interview her if they're still there, because I know where the house is. But it was just being steadfast. It was having the mindset. And I think being in the military, they really do a number on you, programming you to complete the mission. The commission is to get, the mission is to get business. The mission is to grow the company. The mission is to be successful. Have I done that 6 months in if I don't have a yes? No, then keep pushing.
That no, those no's, it's just not one, it's all of them.
There was thousands of no's.
Those no's allows you to work on self, I believe.
Let me tell you, the biggest thing you learn from no, and most people don't know this, no trains you how to get a yes, because every person says no differently.
I like that.
So no teaches you how to approach the yes and say, well, if this person did this because I did that, then I won't do that no more. If this person said, because sometimes I would go up to people and they'd be in a parking lot loading groceries, and I'm in a really ritzy area and they're in a Bentley, and I approached them while they were putting grocery in the car. Hey, what are you doing? Get on. I just wanted to give you a flyer. I don't want a flyer. Okay, I won't approach anybody else putting groceries in a car. So I learned from that no. Putting a flyer on someone's car in 115 degrees and it melts on the car, and they call you, don't put a flyer on my car no more. You learn that no, don't put a flyer on someone's car in 115 degrees. Each no teaches you something. So it helps your approach.
I hope y'all learning something. I told you in the beginning of the conversation, get your notepads out, because he is giving us all the game. Whether you're building a detailing business or any business, he said it took him 6 months before he got his first yes. Some of you just like giving up after 6 weeks. So get your notepad, because we're not done. So the next thing, Anthony, that's so good. The next thing I want to talk about is the types of vehicles that you work on. They're high end. And it requires a certain level of trust on the person that you're going to be servicing, because they're trusting you they're trusting you with an asset, a valuable asset in their minds, right? In their possession. So Stephen Covey talks about this speed of trust. And there's 2 cornerstones that he talks about in regards to the speed of trust. One is character. The other is credibility. And in credibility, doing what you do, I think in any business, but in particularly doing what you do and working on a vehicle, the types of high-end vehicles that you work on, it requires credibility. And Stephen Covey, he talks about these 4 pillars under credibility, one being integrity, intention, capability, and results.
That's
So what I want to talk about, if you can walk us through a little bit about each one of them. So in regards to integrity, when you're doing what you do, how is your integrity received by the people in which you serve? Like, how do you show up? Yeah, that's a good question. How do you show up? Because you got to walk the walk in order for me to say yes, if I'm trusting you with a $500,000 vehicle, right?
That's an excellent question. So when we first came to Florida, I think it was 2004, the first cars that we got, because now I have proof of concept, and this is going to lead into that answer, because I said, well, when we first got to Florida, we didn't have any clients. We just relocated from Oklahoma. And I learned the concepts of how to get all of those no's. So now I know how to get the yeses. So it was on a Sunday after church. Me and my wife went out and we're passing out flyers again because we know how to get clients, and we got yeses quick because now we understood those thousands of no's have led to some good yeses. And so we're in this neighborhood, and when you're asking about integrity and how do you get that, it's being confidence. Confidence breeds integrity, and it breeds trust. Because the first cars that we got in Florida, I'll never forget it. It was a Suburban, and then the guy next door, I saw a red Ferrari. I never detailed a Ferrari. A guy named Satish Sharma, very, very wealthy Indian guy, one of our longtime clients. And he owned a company called Nina Plastics. So I walk around to his house, and he says, I asked him, I said, hey, do you need your car detailed? And he was like, well, have you ever detailed a Ferrari? I said, nope. He said, well, can you detail a Ferrari? I said, I'm one of the best. So when you're confident, people trust that, if I'd have been like, well, I think I can. No, you have to be confident. And when you're confident, and he asked me, where are you from? I said, well, I'm from Mississippi, just got out of the military. I'm trying to establish with the new client on the spot in 30 seconds that I can do this car, that I'm a person of integrity, that I can make this happen. And then he said, well, when can you be here? I said, I can be here in the morning. He said, 7 o'clock. He gets up at 6:30. I'm out there. See, because if you've never done a job, you got to establish that I can do this job and do it at a higher level than anybody else. So one of the things that we do as GI Clean, all of our shirts are logoed, background checks on our guys. We show up in vehicles with wraps. Listen, if we're late, we're not coming, because integrity means a lot. And if you go through our reviews on Google, you'll see people in there, man, they were early. They were early. They were 30 minutes early, 20 minutes early, 15. They were there set up when I came out the door. We're establishing that we're serious, that we want your business, and that we want to grow this company to be a premier company in this market. So that's kind of how we've taken our approach, is to set ourselves apart, is by being confident in what we do. No matter what.
I'm so glad you said that, because in this book, he says that, like, for integrity, he says that you make commitments and you keep them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It speaks volumes to your credibility. I mean, to your integrity.
And then longevity. I'll tell you a story. There's a neighborhood here, another way that you gain integrity with the people. So we go into an area called Alworth. Alworth is where Shaquille O'Neal lives, Vince Carter, the owner of Tupperware, Grant Hill, a bunch of Tiger Woods used to live there. And so for a long time, we were servicing this gentleman, Mr. Dane Cornell. So I'll give y'all names so y'all can Google these names and look them up. But he owns it's the largest privately owned bus company in the world. He owns that bus company, and we had been doing his cars for 5 years. Every Friday we get there at 6:30, 6:30, and it's still dark. We're doing his cars. The other thing is adaptability. You know, when you're serious and you have integrity and you tell people you can do something, it doesn't matter that it's dark or light or whatever, you do what you need to do to get that job done. I install lights on my vans. People come up and look at our vans, and y'all go to YouTube, check out GI Clean on YouTube, like and subscribe. But you'll see my vans with lights. People like, who designed this? I did. It's my vision. It's what God gave me in my private time, and there's something that He wants to give you. But back to longevity, we're at Mr. Cornell's house, and for years we're there. People see us 6:30, 6:30, 6:30. So one day Grant Hill stops by. Grant Hill, Hall of Famer, Grant Hill, big time basketball player. Grant Hill stops by, window comes down. He said, "Hey man, I've been noticing you guys out here for years." See, when you're faithful and people see you, sometimes you don't even know people. I didn't know Grant Hill was looking at me. He says, "I'd like to get some cars done." So I gave him a card, never heard from him. And then about 6 months went by. And then I said, "Hey," I saw him one day. He stopped again. He said, "Man, I know I got your card and I haven't called." I gave him his number. I gave him my number again. And then his wife Tamia called, and they set up and we did their cars for years. We done Shaq's cars, but it's just from um, being steadfast and not quitting. You know, some of our clients we've had since we've been here in Orlando, the whole time, the same people. That's from doing a great job, because people are not going to use you from 2004 to 2024 if you don't do a good job, if you don't have integrity, if you don't show up on time. So I would say that that's how it's really done, and it's not easy. It's not easy.
So Anthony's oftentimes this is around intent, okay? Because which is another pillar of credibility. So when you're moving forward with intention, you're talking about motive and agenda. Motive being, do you care about the people that you serve? And yes, you see their car and you want to service them, but it's not about the end result, which is like kind of maybe the money. What has to be your primary focus when you are intentionally motivated by servicing a person? Yeah, I know like some of people are listening to us like, man, I wish I can get to one of those high-end cars, but that's not the end game, is it?
No, the end game is always the product. So it has to be, yeah, we've done some $1 million cars, we've done some $100,000 cars, we've done some $20,000 cars, but it's the product that we're offering. I want every service to be a 100% service, no matter what we're offering, no matter if it's a boat, an airplane, if it's a car, because we've done a little bit of everything. So it's can I give this person 100% for what they're paying for this service? And if you go in with that attitude, you'll be successful. I was looking at our finances back from 2017, 2016 up to now. And it was so crazy when I started looking at this a couple of weeks ago. Back in 2016, we had a 17% decrease, but I kept on going. 2017, we had a 9% increase. 2018, a 1.2% decrease. 19, a 7.5% decrease. And then 2020 hit. And what's so funny about this is you would think during COVID, oh, they're going down further. No, during COVID, we had a 30% increase. And
Wow.
then in 2019, a 61% increase. And so it's just cyclical, but it's from not worrying about how expensive the car is, who the person is, but saying, can I do a great job for this person? Can I give them the best possible service and experience that they're ever going to have? I mean, and that's really what I get excited about. I don't do a lot of the cleaning like I used to. I handle our company now. Is so
Yeah,
funny because
you've been able to scale.
yeah, we've been able to scale. We have people working, and we're also, I can't talk about it right now, but we got a big deal on the table. If this deal goes through by the summer, I'm going to probably retire in the next 4 years, 5 years, very comfortably.
All gas, no brakes.
Yeah.
Come on, let's
So
get it.
it was a deal that I was working on I think it was 2, 3 years ago, and the one gentleman that was over that dealership left. Another guy left or just came in, and he's interested in doing the same deal again, multi-million-dollar deal. So, but it's about just being excited. He said, and I'll tell you something too. He said the reason that he was considering us was some of the techniques that I was using that we learned with I3, and then just my confidence. And he said, man, your reviews. He said, you got 230 some reviews. He knew exactly how many reviews we had. He says, you only have one bad review.
That's
And he
amazing.
said, I went all the way back. And he said, everybody's not going to say all of that if you're not doing what you're supposed to do. And so, guys, and ladies, gentlemen, brothers, sisters, friends, countrymen, whoever you are, lend me your ear. It is important to have integrity and to be out here for the long haul. When people look back in your reviews and they see years and years and years and years of you did a good job, you were early, you went above and beyond. You know, I wasn't expecting this, and they did this. It means something.
Y'all
And
not
you don't
gonna get
know it.
this in business school. Y'all not gonna get this in an MBA program.
Mm-mm.
So you may need to rewatch this conversation again and again and again, because he said so many things just in that last conversation he was having. But and that's why I really, this whole theme of this conversation, details matter when executing purpose. But one thing that I want to ask you is another pillar in regards to another pillar of credibility is oftentimes, because car washing and detail, and I think a lot of people just take it for granted, that's been around for a very long time, right?
Mhm.
So capability in regards to credibility means that you're always making yourself relevant as you grow. And
That's
oftentimes people will say, you'd ask people, what do you do? Well, I've been doing forklift driving for the past 20 years. I have 20 years of experience. Do you really? Do you have 1 year experience to learn how to drive that forklift well, and you've done it over 20 years, or do you really have 20 years experience? So my question to you, because you've been in the game, since 2002?
I
Was it correct?
started doing it for free in the military back in the 90s, and we started making money as Gladney's Mobile Detailing in 2002. So 2002 until now, I'm not even sure how many
2020,
years it is.
so 22 years. So
22, yeah, 20, roughly
been in the
22 years.
game for over 2 decades now. My question to you, and a lot of people need to hear this answer. I'm telling you, how have you kept yourself relevant? Because you cannot have done the same thing that you learned in the first 5 years over 2 decades the same way,
No,
and remain relevant in the industry.
no, I tell people you got the best questions I've ever done on any interview. But I tell people, you're what is how do I answer this? You're cheap when you're growing, and you're expensive once you're in your knowing. Because you start out, like when I started out, we were cheap when we were growing. I started out in 2002, and the cars that I was doing in Tulsa, I would just charge them $40, $50. But I was really doing my beta test and didn't even know what a beta test was. I was learning the detailing business because I didn't have spreadsheets or software like we have now, and all this automation and the high-end vans with $20,000 worth of gear. And what makes you stay relevant is remembering the days when you didn't have. And how can I grow this? So I'm always thinking, how can I make it better? You know, what's the latest tech? A lot of guys in the detailing channel that I started, Orlando Detailers, and I know you guys are watching. I'm going to definitely share this with them. But they would say, Mr. Gladney, and they call me Mr. Gladney because I'm over 50. Most of those guys are in their 20s and 30s. And they're like, well, you got to try this latest gun. You got to try this latest tool. I didn't want to have anything to do with tech until about 5 years ago. I tried this stuff that the younger guys are using. They're actual tools, softwares. There's a guy that worked with me for years that helped us stay relevant, John Bongard. He was like, Mr. Gladney, you do know that we could charge people with the app. He had to explain to me what an app was. I never knew what to ask. Because listen, y'all, when you're a little bit older getting started, sometimes you need, listen, if you need help, get help. Ask your children. He had a degree in business. I don't have a degree in business. He says, man, I'll help you. And because I hired him and we were in a team together, he helped me set up a lot of things that he had learned in business school. So that kind of helped us. But really, when we got here, in 2004, I was working out of the trunk of my car. It was so crazy. And this is all on being relevant. I was working out of the trunk of my car, and there were a lot of other detailers that made fun of me. Ah, you don't know what you're doing. Y'all ain't no good. And I'm like, we were doing the same jobs, making the same money. And I tell people, when you're experienced and you have skills, skills don't require as much tech. It's like
That's
Michael Jackson.
so good.
He can dance to any beat.
Yes.
It's like an experienced drummer can play any drum set. So if you're good, you don't need all the tech. But for people that don't know how to clean and don't have all the skills, they need the tech.
That's so good.
So for us to stay relevant, it took me learning the technology, the cleaning guns, and all of these. Listen, there's so much stuff now. If you go online and look up detailing tools, you can spend thousands of dollars in just tools to where it's easy to clean a vehicle now. But I've bought that. Our vans, everything is state of the art. Our image is so good. I'll tell you this story. Our image is so good now in the city. When we pull up, people don't think I own it because I'm Black.
It is
I've
what
had
it is,
people
right?
say,
I get it.
yeah,
It is.
I've had people say, hey, who owns this company? It looks really corporate. And I tell them, oh, it's a rich Jew. And then one lady told me, I know you did. I told my husband you didn't own that company. And see, that's what you want.
That's what you want.
You want your image to be so good. And when we were planning our image and how we were going to take the company forward, my wife was like, listen, we got to get a logo. We've got to get a website. We got to get this. We got to get that. And we needed to be clear. People, listen, if you want to make money, don't make your logo. And this is from the marketing side. Don't make your logo all where nobody can understand. It needs to be clear. It needs to be precise. Our logo, and I'm going to send her the image so she can edit it in when we're talking about this, so you can see it. It's a star with the guy with the water gun, and it just says auto detailing. It's easy to see. I see some people's logos on their vehicle, and if I got to look at it more than 10 seconds and I can't tell what you're doing, you're missing thousands of dollars. You're missing thousands of dollars. People need to be able to see your name, Tom's pressure washing service, and then go right on their phone, Tom's pressure washing service, and then it pops right up on Google and they're calling you. We get so much business like that because the vans are rolling. People can't always see the number, but they see GI Clean. And then when you say GI Clean, boom, we pop up. You know why? Because I wanted to stay relevant. And during COVID, when we had all the downtime, I spent some of my money on marketing. We're on Bing. We're on the Alexa. We're one of the only companies that's on the voice search. I paid for this region so nobody else could get in on the Alexa when they first started offering it. And so if you're going to stay relevant, sometimes it's timing. It's timing. When the company called me, they said, listen, we're going to put you on the Alexa. So if somebody says, where can I find detailing? Orlando, GI Clean is located at 460 Boone Avenue. She comes on just like that. Bam, got him. So I booked $1,000 yesterday in the morning in like 2 hours, $1,000 in 2 hours. So everybody that called, I said, hey, how'd you find us? Google. That's the Alexa sending them to my phone and boom, straight to my Google page. And so if you're going to stay relevant, don't do like I did a few years ago. Go ahead and explore technology. One of the things when we were very, very deep in I3, Pastor Darius was really pushing, technology, using what's available to you, these different programs and softwares and things like that to get your message out. And I remember one thing that he said, listen, you got to get big on social media. The more of an audience you have, the better your appearance on social media. That's tens of thousands of dollars.
Now,
so,
he just gave y'all some $1 million advice that could collapse your time and help you get to those $1 million advantages a lot more quicker than later. So I really, that's why we're having a conversation. I really hope you're paying attention. Do not take it lightly what he is sharing with you, because he's giving you what he has experienced. It's going to help you propel what you are doing a lot quicker. And that's why we're having these conversations. And he keeps mentioning Pastor Darius and the mastermind and I3. It's important to get yourself into rooms where you are having these types of conversation to help you grow more quickly. And don't minimize the value of mentorship and coaching, because oftentimes I run into people who are not willing to invest in themselves because they think they're paying the mentor or the coach. You're not, you're investing in yourself. The mentor or the coach is helping you so much more than what you can pay them.
yes, yes.
But they're giving you, you can't afford to pay them. So
Mm-hmm.
the minimum, the little fee that they're asking you for, get over yourself and pay it. And what he was just talking about leads us into our fourth pillar of credibility, and what I'm going to ask him. The fourth pillar is your results. And my question to you is, how do the people in which you serve, how would you think they would describe the intangible fruits of the service that they receive from you? The intangible, the car is the tangible. Yeah, it looks good, right? But based on your experience and what they've given you back as a result of your experience, what would be an intangible fruit of your service that they have experienced?
That's an excellent question. That's a hard one too. I would say the entire experience, the conversation, um, when you're well-rounded in business, and like I used to do all of the jobs, and I really, if y'all can see right to my right, I have literally hundreds of books. And what I learned to do is to be able to speak at everybody's level. So if I was with a businessman, we could talk profit margins and spreadsheets. Or if I'm with somebody that's day trading, after we finish the car, I could talk stocks and what's going on with the market. It's that's part of the whole experience. There's one lady, she's one of our clients. She's very, very wealthy lady, very, very big in business. She runs a company called Dimitri Global. And she always says, Anthony, I love the experience when you come, and I love to talk to you. And she knows I'm a minister. And she always asks me what's the scripture or the word of the day. So just being able to share and communicate with our clients, because some of them have been our clients for over 20 years. Yeah, you get a clean car, but we get a great conversation. Even some of our clients we're friends with, we've flown out to Texas and hang out with professional athletes and stuff. We just became really good friends from doing their cars. And so I would say it's the overall experience, it's the friendship, it's knowing that you have a company that you can trust, it's knowing that you have a company that's not gonna break something and not say, hey, we broke something. It's 100% 360 degrees or whatever it is, and knowing that this company is going to do me right. And so that's the intangible part, because you have people come to your house stealing, breaking stuff. There are companies here, and we're really trying to bring the industry up with our detailing page, Orlando Detailers, where everybody brings the cleaning level up. But
That's so important, Anthony, because when trust is high,
mhm,
cost is low.
right, that's true.
Yeah.
But
So
just the overall experience, I remember one time there's a guy, Bill Jurgen. He owns Correct Craft. They make ski nautiques, those $150,000 boats. Some of them are more than that. But he said, man, I just love when you guys come. I don't have to think about it. His wife's sitting on the porch reading the Bible. My team's back doing the boats. The intangible part is having a peace of mind. I have a great company. It's just like when you order a package from Amazon, you're not worried about, is the package going to show up? You know, you might be worried about somebody gonna steal it off your porch, but the package is gonna show up. You know, it's the peace of mind, I would say.
Oh, that's so good.
Mhm.
Speaking of getting in the rooms, you have a room, you have a consulting room. So you have people who they come to you all the time because I've heard you mention it in our mastermind.
Mhm.
Like they want to know the game, right? So
For
you have
sure.
a coaching program, and I know it's on your website, but can you give our listeners an overview of what that could be like for them?
Sure. So what we offer done with you, done for you, and we also have done by you. So we'll teach you and you can do it yourself if you want us to do it with you. The done with you is actually the way it's done. So I'll tell you guys a quick story. I'll make it real quick. But my wife, her cousin Johnny Cannon, he used to be a hairstylist. His son owns a restaurant called Joe Louis in Detroit, Michigan. From the boxer Joe Louis, he partnered with his grandson, but this is Johnny Cannon. And he said, hey, I want to get into the auto detailing business. So he flew down, I think it's been 6 years, 7 years ago. I lost time, but I went back and interviewed him. And he came to Orlando with $20,000 in his pocket. He says, what can you do for me? I said, man, $20,000. I said, bro, we're going to scale this thing. So literally, he came in on a Sunday. And so if you want done with you, you get here to Orlando, you can fly in on your own dime, but we sit down, we get a strategy. He told me, he says, listen, I need a van. I said, okay, I'm going to get you a van. He said, so, but what can we do with 20 grand? I said, bro, I'm going to fully set you up for 20 grand. I said, I can go to the auction. I can get you a van for under 5 grand. I'm going to get all your detailing equipment and products, and you get to go out with me for 2 days. He went for 5 days because he's family. We're not doing that no more. But he actually went out with me for 5 days and he took notes. He took detailed notes. He got to see how we interact with the clients. And he told me, he said, man, this is so valuable. Literally at the auction, we're there, beating on the van, and he's like, how did you know? The van that we got him, y'all, 4 grand, still using it.
Oh,
Still using it today.
wow.
Yeah, because when you do done with you, I don't want you coming back saying, well, Anthony got me a bad van. No, I know what to look for because I still have a Chevy 1500 I got from the auction 2007, still driving it. It's just knowing what to look for. And so you don't want to have to figure that out on your own. You want to get with somebody that's already done it. I had a guy take me to the auction and he showed me specifically what to look for. Every vehicle I've ever bought, we still have them from 2007
Wow.
to now. Still have all of them. Everything is running except for one vehicle, which is a Ford E150. And we're getting ready to make a movie. We're going to put that one back into operation. I was just telling one of my guys, I'm thinking about bringing that van back. But done with you is when you come to Orlando, you pay our fee, and we why is my battery coming on here? Here we go. My battery came on, said it was going to shut off. But we walk you through. So if you need a van, I find you a van. You know, you can look at it and agree on it, but I'll say, hey, this is the one I think you should get because I know what it takes to detail. I know what type of van you need. I know what type of van you don't need. If you're just getting started, you don't know. I know every product you need. I've already done a list of I have it already set up now. It took me 2 years, but it's over 350 products that you need. Um,
Listen, that's what you're paying for. You paying for
so
his experience, his
done with you.
education, and his expertise. That's what you're paying for.
Hmm.
You can't beat that. Like that's like nothing.
Yeah. And then we have coaching, where we literally coach people. If you want to learn how to polish, you want to learn how to clean.
Those are ancillary services,
Mhm.
correct? Okay.
Yes. So the
Okay.
coaching we can do over the phone I've had people call me, coach people from Texas, Louisiana, Atlanta, from all around the country. They're calling and they want to know how to get set up. We do a 9 minute free discovery call. That's free. 9 minutes. I can kind of figure out where you are, what you need. And then it's a 1 hour coaching call. And those are only $175 for 1 hour. And we basically, in that 9 minutes, once I discover what you need, I go and do the research for you. So when we come on the 1 hour coaching call, I'm bringing you success. I had one guy call me. He wanted to get an Amazon location in Texas. I said, send me the address. And then once he sent me the address, I said, when you send me your 175, when we come on, I'll show you exactly what you need to get that Amazon. He got it. So
That
I mean, he paid
that's so good.
$175 and he's made thousands. I really
So
could charge
so
more.
so Anthony, so people out here, they already have a detail business and they doing it, but they've hit a ceiling and they want to know how to scale. How can you help them?
With scaling, we go over, there's 5 techniques that you need to know to scale. And we go through those 5 techniques because we hit a ceiling too. And that was one of the things I was saying earlier. I don't do a whole lot of the detailing, but you have to put many irons in the fire when you're scaling. And then you figure out which one's going to take off and you run with that one. So we do auto detailing, boat detailing, motorcycles, airplanes, pressure washings, insurance claims. So I'm the authorized rep for Permaplate. I cover all of Central and South Florida, and they've offered me territories in North Florida. I'm like, I've got to get more people. So right now, we just got set up to get more employees so we can train people to do what's in my head. We put it on paper, and now the next thing is we found the iron in the fire that produces. We can make $300 an hour with this iron. So I need 6 people.
Wow.
I need 6 people. And so the other iron, that's with Siskin Enterprises. We also take care of a overspray company. They're all the way in Texas, but we get everything that comes through Central Florida. And so you have to find many
So
ways.
you're national. You're a national company.
Well, we have what we call we have a VIP service. I've flown to Texas and done stuff for people in the NBA. I've done stuff up in Detroit. So if you're international, if you have an event, so I've been going to the International Ferrari Show the last few years, and we're trying to get connected with them. They have work in Dubai and all over the place, and I want to follow them around. But for
Talk about your gift to make room for you, Lord.
So I tell people in the detailing space, there's so much money. You can find just one thing in our detail Facebook page, Orlando Detailers. There's one young lady, Alejandra. All she does is airplanes. All she does is jets, Gulfstreams 5s, 4s, prop blasters, all types of airplanes. There's another company, all they do is RVs. I do RVs too, but that's all they do every day. We have all the irons in the fire. So if you call, we're not going to turn it down. There's one guy, all they do is golf carts. I do golf carts too, $75 a pop, $100 a pop for a golf cart. There's another guy, all they do is motorcycles. So you can pick your field if you want to scale, come to Orlando with me for 3 days. We will get you up to speed. If you need a vehicle, if you need gear, consulting, coaching. I mean, a lot of people don't know how to keep their books. So during COVID, they couldn't get any of the money because their business wasn't set up properly. We partnered with Jamila Moore. She's an attorney that we also met through I3 to make sure that you're legal on paper.
That's
I'll tell you
important.
this.
That's so important. So many people, especially, well, in any space, but more so, I think there's a lot of people in the detail car kind of industry space that are not legal.
Literally.
Real legal.
It's so crazy because when we talk about done with you, and then the consultant and the coaching, under my consultant and coaching, the first thing I want to know is, are you legal on paper? If you're not, I would recommend, you talk with Jamila. The other thing that I recommend with my coaching and consulting is that you get your business credit right. If I had known about business credit when I started back in 2002, I'd be a multi-millionaire many times over because I use my dime and my credit, and that's not what it's supposed to be. And
Right.
coming from the background I told you guys I came from on a farm, and I think I mentioned that it might have been before we got started, but I
It
grew up on a
was.
farm in Egypt, Mississippi. My dad was a pastor. All of our food and everything came off of the farm. We were sharecroppers. We did construction work. I never knew anything about business credit. I never went to business school. I graduated high school. I went to the military. I was with the 82nd, the 2nd Infantry. So my background has always kind of been working and kind of hands-on, but I never had any of that training to know that, hey, you need business credit. As in our consulting, these are some of the first things we ask you. And if you don't have that, we don't move forward, because why am I going forward with you if you don't have this step completed? So we
Basics.
stop there. you get that done, and then you come back for your next session because I want you to go forward quicker than I have. And if you don't have business credit, if your company is not set up right, literally when COVID happened, they were saying, well, you can get the PPP loans, for your employees. And I was asking everybody, man, did y'all get the money? No, we ain't got them paperwork. What you mean you ain't got no paperwork? You run the business. We ain't got, you got it? I said, you dang right I got it. You do payroll? What do you mean do I do payroll? I pay a company. This is a business. Let me say it slowly. I am here to make a profit. That's the only reason. Listen, y'all, if you're not in business and you're not serious, if you're not in business to make a profit with your consulting, with your teaching, with your flower, dog walking,
whatever you do,
whatever it is, the whole idea is to make a profit. You got to have your EIN. You got to have a business account where that's all, only money goes in that account is for business. You're not buying ho-hos and ding dongs and eating Dunkin' Donut unless it's a business meeting that you're bringing that to. And when you look in that business account, it's just business expenses. You gotta have that. Or if you get a lawsuit, they're gonna say, hey, you intermingled the funds, and
that's a whole nother vacuum you're gonna get sucked into.
Yeah,
that
so
you
when we
not
do
want
our
to be in that pipeline.
Yes, so when we do our consulting, these are things that I try and make sure that people are set up, because when COVID happened, and I keep trying to get that little point out, I was able to just push a button and send them every form that they needed.
Yeah.
I didn't even know I had the forms until they asked me, but because I have been using an accountant, we need this form. And I was like, oh, there it is. Do we need this form? Oh, there it is. Boom, got the money.
Y'all get your who. Stop trying to do the how and get your who. Get you a who person. There's a book, Who Not How. Get you a who person who knows how to do everything you need efficiently, so you don't have to be figuring it out.
Yeah. First you learn, then you drop the L, then you earn.
Right.
Learn first.
Say that.
Yeah. First you learn, you drop the L, then you earn. Until you learn, don't even worry about earning. That's why I said when I look back now, Oklahoma was a beta test. Oklahoma, God had me simmering. You know how stocks consolidate.
He'll hide you, won't he? He'll hide you in a beta test.
And I didn't even know it. All those no's. So when I'll tell you this really quickly about the consultant and done for you and done with you. I had one guy call me for coaching one day over the phone, and I helped him so quickly, it shocked him. He's like, how did you know? I said, bro, I'm in my season. I said, I'm here to get paid. I said, I am not playing. He called me with an issue with his pressure washer. I diagnosed it from the sound. See, when you're in tune with your business and what God has called you to do, there's a sound that your business makes when it's running. There's a sound that your business makes when it's not running right. There's a sound. He crunked up his pressure washer, and I was like, ooh, sounds like something's in the pump. He's like, how can you tell? I said, because it's making a jittery sound. I said, that's not how a pump is supposed to run. I said, is there something in your water tank? He's like, mold. And so when he said mold, he's like, well, how did you know? I said, because if something gets in the reservoir and leaks into your pump, then the flow is off. And see, if you don't have good consulting, good coaching, you can have all of the best equipment and then your flow will be off. If your flow is off, your money's off. That means your margins are not good. You're up 20, down 30, up 20. That's what I was showing you those numbers earlier. We went up 30,
I heard you.
60. You want to go up. But it was so funny. When he talked to me, he said, so what do I do? He says, I said, go to Home Depot, get that strong vinegar, put the vinegar in there, let it sit for 30 minutes, rinse the thing out, wipe it out, run the water in there, do it again, run that through your machine, you'll be done in 30 minutes. He did it and called me back. He's like, it worked. He's like, how did you know? I said, bro, I've been doing this since 2002. If there's something going on with the machine, you can call me on the phone. I can tell when the generators are running out of gas. I just know the sound. I know the sound when it's running right. I know the sound when it's not running right. You know, when I crank my van, sometimes I don't even have to check the oil. I can just, ooh, it's not sounding good. And once you get in tune with your business, you will know when you're right where God wants you to be, when you're doing what you're supposed to do, because there's a sound. There's
Yeah,
a
your
sound and
purpose has a sound. Like it
Mhm,
has a sound that's very unique and distinct to the ear who can hear, right?
mhm,
It has a sound. Y'all hear him? He's like, your business has a sound. I love that. This
mhm.
is so good. If y'all missed the part where he was going over his numbers and giving you all of the percentages as he was growing, you need to rewind this and go back and listen to that. Listen to that.
Yeah,
That part was so profound.
And one of the parts I'll just hit again, it's when we were in COVID. Most people would think during a downtime that you're not making money. They take on the belief because it's bad for everybody, it's going to be bad for me. That's not so. When we're kingdom people, when
I was
God
about to
has a
say that.
covenant with you, it'll be bad for everybody else. But just like the widow that just had a little bit left, God expanded that thing. And see, in 2020, when everybody else was home, we were what they call essential personnel. And we were working and went up 30%. The next year, it doubled, went up 60%. So don't think just because it's a bad time or a bad season, it has to be bad for you. No, your numbers can go up, your margins can be good. You just have to be serious. And if you're coming in now, I talked about earlier, mindset. If you have the right mindset, I cannot be defeated, I will not quit. God will bring you into the company of the people that you need to meet that are critical for your success and well-being. But he's not going to do it if you've not been faithful where you've been or where you're coming from and stepping into this season. It's all about showing him that I'm stable, I'm concerned, and I'm serious. When you're that with God, listen, he says, I will I will expand your territories. He
Now,
sure
I think, Anthony, I think some people may have missed what you said, but I caught it. And I'm going to say it again. Like when you are a kingdom citizen, when you're a citizen of the kingdom,
right, that
what's
covenant.
happening culturally in our circumstance do not apply to kingdom citizens. Y'all need to understand that and need to
Right.
know how to seek out the kingdom first
Mhm.
and be in right alignment with God. And all things will be added unto you. That
Right.
means things in your business, that means things in your family, that means all things. It didn't say some things, but that was good.
And I tell people all the time with our coaching, our consultant, any program that we've ever offered, anything that we've ever done, we always pray to start our day.
I
And
love
even when
that.
me and my wife first got here, the first two clients I told you about, Satish with the Ferrari, we prayed that day. We needed $534 and I think 15 cents. All those cars that we did in that circle and his car added up to the exact amount. So
That
God knows
I
where
am
you
not
need to be.
surprised. So if
Mhm.
you're not kingdom, I mean, y'all may like that conversation may not be for you. And like I think we're good with that, but we're just trying to give you some game on
Mhm.
how to separate yourself and live in your own authority, the way you were created to be, and living out your purpose. Details matter when executing your purpose, and so
Right.
that's all he's saying.
Mhm.
So it's your choice on where you want to live. So Anthony, I have three questions that I like to ask when standardizing these conversations. Okay. So the first question is, what is your favorite quote? What is the favorite quote that inspires you when you feel that you're not living at your highest level or operating at your highest level?
Actually, the one I've been saying, it's actually a quote from Kenneth Hagin. I cannot be defeated and I will not quit. He
I love.
used to say that all the time when we were in Bible school. That's actually where I get that from. And he used to say it, I mean, he said it weekly, daily, and it just stuck with me. I cannot be defeated and I will not quit. Um, so if you take up that mentality and you have that mindset today and tomorrow, you're not going to stop. People ask me, how do you keep going? We've had vehicles break down, we've had repairs. People see the good side of business. Things get broken, things get stolen. I cannot be defeated and I will not stop. I don't care what happens. I cannot be defeated and I will not stop. And if you don't stop and if you have that mentality, you will eventually be successful.
That's good. Next one. What is one book that has made a difference as you are living out your purpose?
Oh man, my favorite book, it's Passions, Pursuits, and Purpose by Dr. Miles Monroe.
Oh my
That's
God,
one of
he is
my
like
favorite
my
books.
favorite.
And I'm reading some books now. Howard Thurman. I've been reading this
I
book.
just read that.
Yeah, The
That's
Luminous
good.
Darkness.
Okay, third question. What tool do you use to continue to elevate and grow in what you have been purposed to do?
The tools. I really read the Bible a lot, and then just trying to elevate and grow the latest technology in my field, the latest cleaning equipment, the latest vehicles, but it all starts with a devotion in the morning. I'm actually in my movie theater now. You can't see it, but there's a screen here, and I come up here in the morning. There's books all around me, and I just sit and read, and I think, and I meditate. And every day I get up, I say this, I say, I'm a good man and great things are coming my way. So I first use the tools of mental, preparing my mind and speaking good things. Um, and then from there, it's to using the best gear to get the job done.
That's so
Um, yeah, I never told you, but when we first got here, we were working out of our car. It was when Rashard Lewis of the Orlando Magic came here. He had us so busy. That was when I got my first van. And it was when we got our first van that people was like, oh, they're serious. I was like, no, we've been serious. We're scaling this thing now. And so it was just preparing our mind and then moving to the latest tech. It was one van, it was two van, it was three vans, and so it goes on.
well. I for one thank you for all the game you have given us today. It has been no less than extraordinary in what you have done with you, your life, your family, and how you've been able to affect other individuals and your community. It's just inspiring. And I thank you for sharing with us how you've been able to navigate and transition through all of that. And that's why you are premier.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I just appreciate the ability and the time to come on and to be able to speak and share what we've gone through, because my whole life mission is to help the next generation of detailers and people that are in this space go further and get there quicker. And so that's what it's all about, passing the torch. And like I said, when this deal closes, I'm retiring in about 4 years, and I'm just going to go on cruises, enjoy Florida. I was just telling my wife, I said, man, I really want to get a house in Mississippi where I'm from and a house in Michigan and just be between the three, because we're not going to sell my home here. But that's what I'm really looking to do, is to really pass the torch on to the next generation of people that are in this space. Because when I got started, there was no course, there was nobody helping nobody. And now on a daily
Have an
basis, we get
entire
phone.
academy. You have an academy now to help people
Yeah,
launch,
yes, people, yeah, and
help them to discover, develop, and deploy this gift of auto detailing. You
yeah.
have an entire academy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what we were studying to do when we came into I3, was to set it up. So I never finished the last part that I was telling you about our coaching, but we have a course. If you want to learn on your own, you can just purchase our course. If you want to do it with us, you can. If you want to do the consulting, you can. We have a done with you where you can come to Florida. We mentor you. So if you're interested in any of that, reach out to us. We're the only GI clean in Orlando. You can hit that contact page and it comes right to my phone. And listen, I respond in seconds because I want to be profitable. I don't wait to call you. I call you immediately. As soon as I get an email, I respond immediately. Some people wait and it's a weekend. No, we respond immediately.
That's so
This,
good.
this deal that we're getting ready to close, that's a multi-million-dollar deal. The guy even mentioned that. He said, I called your office. I'm on with the lady. I had called you and missed you, and you called me back in under a minute. I got your company on the line on two, I'm on the phone with the office and on hold with you. He said, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That does not happen, but we're responsive. And so if you want to learn how to do business like that, we don't just coach people in the detailing space, but if you want to start a business, period, give us a call and we will help you, because it's parallel. You know, if you can run an auto detailing business, you can run a whatever business, but it's getting the basics in place, and that's what we really want to be able to do. And then the last part is leaving a legacy. I told my son Manuel today, I said, "Hey, I'm going on this podcast." With one of our friends from I3. I said, she's sharp. I said, I'm going to let her know. I almost forgot because he's going to watch. I said, I'm going to let her know that I'm passing the torch to you. And I said, Manuel, what kind of leader are you going to be? Do you want to work in the business or on the business? He said, I want to work on the business, not in the business. So he wants to be the real CEO that sits back and I need to do this. I need to deploy. I need to do this. So he told me, he said, and I've been telling him, I've been taking him to work and he's been learning to do the job so he can see, and he's been doing some of the footage for me, recording when we're out on sites, but very sharp young man and leaving legacy. That's what,
Yes. Yes.
leaving a legacy.
Build $1 million legacy with purpose. And this has been an amazing episode,
Thank you.
Anthony. And as we begin to sign off, I just want to let our audience, y'all know who I am, Dr. Marnita on fire, the P3
Thank
Purposepreneur.
you.
Will you do us a favor? I'm going to put all your links in the description. So all people have to do, listen, all you have to do is go to the description in the YouTube channel, click, and it takes you right to his platforms on whether you want to be coached on to being an auto detailer, or you want to be coached on how to scale, or you just want to be coached to find out how you can become the person that do the things that can have more. Any one of those things, just go to the description, click on the link, and it'll take you there. But I'm going to ask you one thing, if you'll do us a favor. Can you pray us out of this session?
Oh, yes, for sure. Amen. Father God, we thank you today for this podcast. We thank you for all that's been said. We thank you, Father God, that businesses are being birthed, that GI Clean is going to the next level, that this entire podcast here with Dr. Marnita is going to the next level, that whatever you have for us in 2024, we receive it. We thank you. We pray that thousands of people will see this broadcast. And not only that they will grow their businesses and that they will do what is necessary to be profitable. And we thank you for this in your son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. And audience, I'll see you next time with another conversation. And Anthony, you have anything lastly you would like to say?
No, I'm just excited for all of the businesses that are going to grow, that are going to be started, that the person that might have been getting ready to give up, that you stay with it and have that in your head. I cannot be defeated and I will not quit. I'm just believing that from this podcast and this conversation that someone's going to stick with it. Someone's going to figure out something that they've done wrong. They're going to call you or call me, or we can connect them with someone if they need coaching, consulting in any kind of way, that we be able to help them and support them to fulfill the vision that God has given them in business.
Okay, and you can be the next guest on our platform, Build $1 Million Legacy with Purpose. Until next time, see you soon.